you have actually 2 pages that go together, and it will say all about polygons. All about polygons booklet that we have done in the classroom and you're going to do at home. So this is 2 of them. 2 of the rectangles you're going to need to cut out, and there's another page that has 1 and 2 on it that also says all about polygons. It looks like this one and this one, and it's got some shapes on it. So you're going to want to cut all of these out into the rectangle. So you are actually cutting on, can't find my scissors. You're actually going to cut on the dotted lines all the way around. And you're going to cut right through the middle to cut them apart. So you will have 4 long rectangles. Okay, so the top one's going to look like this. Then the second one is going to look like that. Then the third one is going to look like that. And then your 4th rectangle, of course, will look like that. Okay. Now, on each one of them, there's a tab that says staple or glue. So you're going to find your number 4. You're going to lay your number 4 down. You're going to put the glue right here where it says glue. Then you're going to take your number 3 and lay it on top of it. And stick that tab together. Put glue on number 3, lay number 2 on top of that. Put glue on number 2, and then lay the first one. So when you're done, you're going to have a booklet that looks like this. Okay, do you see how those come apart? And it's going to be stuck together. But it's going to make a polygon booklet that looks like that. Okay. Then you're going to want to flip it over and put glue all on the back. And put it on your next page. This will be after your angles. So I had to turn my book sideways in order for it to fit. As you can see, they're all stuck together on this page. There's my angles that we did together. And now you have your polygons. So now I want to go through our polygons. Now if you want to color and make it all cute and decorative in your notebook, that's perfect. You can do that. This is all about polygons. You can put your name down here. Now I had them in class. I had them draw me some examples of polygons after we talked about them. They put about 3 examples here in this little box. We did go over the standard. So this is what you're going to have to know. It says, I can identify and draw plane. And in geometry, this word plane just means flat. A flat shape. A shape that I can just draw on paper. That would be on a plane, a flat shape. I can categorize shapes based on their attributes. Attributes is a word wall. It's a vocabulary word. Underline attributes twice. An attribute is simply a rule. It's a rule that you have to follow in order to draw a shape. So, for example, if I told you to draw a shape that had straight sides and there were 3 sides and 3 angles, and I said draw that shape right here in the window. 3 sides, 3 angles, and it had to be straight. You would probably draw a shape that looked like that. You know that that's a triangle because it has 3 sides and 3 angles. That is an attribute for a triangle. That's a rule we have to follow when we're drawing a triangle. We have to make sure triangles have 3 sides and 3 angles. That's what attributes are. They are just rules that you follow when you are making shapes. Okay? Turn to your next page. On page 2, it says polygons. Okay? So we need to know what a polygon is. Polygons are 2-dimensional. There's that word closed. That's important. Underline closed. Plane figures. And made up of line segments. There's another vocabulary word. Underline line segments. In other words, they're closed shapes. So we pretend that these polygons we think about it as being a fence, and we want to make sure we build the fence all the way around so our dog can't get out of the backyard. We want him to stay inside the fence. So to be a polygon, what you've got to really pay attention to is line segments. Now remember from our other page in our notebook, a line segment has to have two endpoints. It's a straight line, no curves, that has two endpoints. So when we go back to polygons, they have to only be made out of line segments. That means you can't have any curves. So a circle is out, an oval is out. Do you see a shape here that is not got line segments? Yeah, this one. This is not a polygon because it has this curved side. That takes it out. It also said up here that it had to be closed. All polygons have to be closed up. Do you see a shape here that's not closed? That if I put my dog inside the shape, my dog would get out because the fence is not closed? Yeah, this one. See that opening? See how it's not closed? That means it's not a polygon. So that leaves us with three shapes that follow the attributes of a polygon. They are flat, they have line segments, and they are closed. All three of these are polygons. So their directions ask you to color those. So any color you like, you'll need to color the three shapes that are polygons. So remember, to be a polygon, it has to be closed and it has to use line segments. So all three of these are polygons. Now down at the bottom you have specific names of polygons. We give polygons names according to how many line segments they have. So this first picture you probably already know. I see three sides. So what name would we give this polygon? Any polygon that has three sides we call a triangle. Tri, that prefix tri means three. All triangles have to have three sides. This one has 5 sides. Any polygon that has 5 sides is going to be given the name pentagon. P-E-N-T-A, penta means 5, pentagon. Penta is 5. This is kind of what I call our house top too. Sometimes we can draw a pentagon. It looks like a house. It looks something like this. That would be another pentagon. Kind of looks like a house. The next polygon we have has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Anytime a polygon has 6 times, it gets 6 sides. It gets the name hexagon. Now, I have found that my 3rd graders like to get these two mixed up, so this is one way you can remember it. Hex has an X, and the word 6 has an X. So 6 and hexagon should go together because they both have an X. So maybe that'll help you remember. The other one you see here has 8 sides. This is your stop signs. Any polygon that has 8 sides is called an octagon. Like an octopus has 8 arms. An octagon has 8 sides. Octa means 8. Now in my classroom, I have an anchor chart that has all of the different kinds of polygons. Polygon power. You have all straight sides. That has to be closed, no curves. You can't cross your lines over through the middle. That's what the intersecting means. So here's some examples of different kinds of triangles. Remember, tri means 3. Quadrilateral, quad. We're going to do a lot of work with quadrilaterals. Quad, you might think of a 4-wheeler. Sometimes it's called a quad. It's given the name quad because it has 4 wheels. So there's some examples of some quadrilaterals. Penta, we said meant 5. So there's some pentagons. Hexa, the X means 6, like the X in 6. Hexagon. We don't see this one in 3rd grade, but I went ahead and put it on here because I always have students say, what about a 7-sided shape? Yeah, there is such a thing. They're called heptagons, but you won't see that one in 3rd grade. Octagon you will see. Remember, octopus has eight arms, so an octagon has 8 sides. That's your stop sign. There's also a 9-sided shape. We don't see that one in 3rd grade, but I went ahead and put it up here. Nonagon. And then decagon would be 10, not 6. Hexa 6. Decagon has 10, like a deck of cards has 10 suits in it. So, and then it goes on. There's more than this. This is just all I put on my anchor chart. The ones you need to know are definitely triangle, quadrilateral. Practice saying that word, quadrilateral. Pentagon, hexagon, and octagon. Those are the ones you will see most always in 3rd grade. Triangle, 3, quadrilateral, 4, pentagon, 5, hexagon, 6, and octagon, 8. If you want to make your own anchor chart at home to practice, that would be fabulous. All right, back to our little foldable. Page 3 says classifying shapes. And this gets into our quadrilaterals. We're going to be doing a whole lot with quadrilaterals. So we just learned that quad meant 4. These are the different kinds of quadrilaterals that we have. You have parallelograms. Clue word in parallelogram is parallel. Underline parallel in parallelogram. Remember, we learned what parallel sides were over here on this page. Parallel sides are lines that never ever cross. So a parallelogram is going to need some of those parallel sides. You have rhombus or rhombuses. You have rectangles. And you have squares. There's a 5th quadrilateral that we will learn later on that doesn't connect to these. These are all very similar because they share some similar attributes. There is a 5th quadrilateral that we'll learn about later on that does not fit with these, but it's still a quadrilateral because remember, quad means 4. Let's put that in parentheses. Quadrilaterals have to have 4 sides and 4 angles. So all of these shapes listed have 4 sides and 4 angles. All right, we're going to draw an example of each kind. So let's look at our attributes of a parallelogram. It has to have 4 sides, 4-sided shape. 2 pairs of parallel lines. So when it says 2 pairs, we're talking about opposite sides. So one example of a parallelogram could look like this. That should look familiar to you. The top and bottom are parallel. They're never going to touch. The left and right are parallel. They're never going to touch. So we have 2 pairs, top and bottom, left and right, of parallel sides. Here's another example. That one may look familiar to you. Again, 4 sides, top and bottom will never touch, so they're parallel. Left and right will never touch, so they're parallel. Here's another example. As long as I slant the sides the same direction, they're still going to be parallel. Top and bottom will never touch. Left and right will never touch. Here's one more. Again, even though I slanted the sides, they're still going to be parallelograms because those sides will never touch. There's 4 examples of some parallelograms. Under paragraph, do you see how it's connected? Something I drew here is also a rhombus. Look at your attributes of a rhombus. All 4 sides are the same length. Did you see something I drew that every side was the same? Yeah, this shape is a rhombus, and this one is also a rhombus. So 2 of these parallelograms can also fit in the rhombus box because of the sides being the same length. Right? Also connected to a parallelogram, we have the word rectangle. You probably know this one. Look what it says. 4 right angles. Remember our right angles? I'll pull one out of my little envelope. My right angles are the ones that have the perfect square corners. So to be a rectangle, you have to have 4 of those right angles, and the opposite sides have to be the same length. So up here, I have 2 things that can be a rectangle, and this really gets to my 3rd graders sometimes. That is a rectangle. It follows the attributes. It has 4 right angles, and the opposite sides are the same length. The top and bottom are the same, and the left and right are the same. It's a rectangle. There's another one up here that looks like this. That's also a rectangle. Both of these are rectangles because they match the attributes, the rules. 4 right angles. And the top and bottom are the same, and the left and the right are the same. These are both rectangles. Squares. Notice squares are connected to everybody. Notice the rectangle was not connected to a rhombus though, so that's something to pay attention to. To be a square, you have to have 4 right angles. Well, both of these had 4 right angles. And all 4 sides are the same length. So looking at this one, only one can be a square because of the attribute of the sides being the same. You had to have 4 right angles, and every side has to match. Now up here in rhombus, this one every side was the same, but it can't be a square because it doesn't have the right angles. To be a square, you have to have right angles, and every side has to be the same. So what you should notice in my picture is that everybody is a parallelogram. And a square actually fits in every single box. A square fits with parallelogram attributes. A square matches a rhombus attribute. A square matches a rectangle's attribute. And a square, of course, is a square. So if you're a square, you get to go in every single box. Those are your attribute rules for quadrilaterals. And like I said, there is one more quadrilateral we're going to learn later on that won't fit in any of these. Okay, our 4th page in our foldable, it's got some clues. I'd like for you to try to do this one on your own. You're going to read the riddle, and you're going to try to draw and tell me the name of the shape that they're talking about. Then down at the bottom, pick something that you have not done and write a riddle. Give me some of those attributes so I could draw your shape here in this box. All right. That's our polygons.